and welcome to Tarmac. I'm Dave.
And I'm Harry. And today we are by the beachside to try out BYD's new aquatic nameplate.
That's right, it's called the Sealion and it's just as playful and as intelligent as its mammal namesake. Come, let's take a look at this. Now, to most of us Kiwis, the BYD brand really comes across as an EV brand, but now with the Sealion, it's their first sort of venture, certainly for us in Kiwiland, into new power, so PHEV, but it's a very smart, intelligent PHEV, and I'll get to more of that in a minute. The vehicle itself, we've got two versions. We've got the dynamic and the premium. We have the premium, which is the four-wheel drive. It's a very playful drive, as I mentioned before. Looking around the front here, what we've got is obviously a face that looks nothing like a sea lion, but it does have, if you look at the whiskers on a sea lion, these sort of vertical slats. And what that means is it gives it a lot more width, so emphasizes its near 1.8 meter width and makes it look more substantial, particularly for an SUV or a family-sized SUV. The lights themselves are LED, also the DRLs are LED, and also sort of nice sort of front vents and slats all the way around. Now, as to whether it will fit in your garage, this family-sized SUV is 4.68 meters in length and 1.67 meters high, so it is, I guess, ranging towards the sort of smaller size. And when it comes to its looks or appeal, it is more conventional than, say, some of the Seal or the Atto 3 that they've got out before. But the design itself, it's got a very strong character line here and a sort of floating design. It's actually not bad looking at all from this profile. The wheels themselves are 19-inch and comes with Gitty comfort, so they really do absorb a lot of the road below, and some nice garnish around the wheel arches and a panoramic roof. Now, the boot space is 425 litres, which is not category leading, but certainly substantially enough for your weekly shop or your weekend getaway, so substantial there. The tailgate itself is electric, so hands-free as far as that goes. And also looking at the rear, it is more traditional, or a traditional SUV, with a roofline spoiler, blackened out glass, wiper blade, BYD signage. Your lights across here is very sharp and also LED. You've also got your Sealion 6 badging, which shows you that there is a Sealion 6. There is also a Sealion 5, and I think there's a 7 or something along like that. And that depends on which powertrain you've got. And speaking of powertrain, you've got DMI, which is dual mode intelligence, all-wheel drive, and also under the bottom here, which you can't see, is an exhaust pipe which leads to what's under the bonnet. So let's go there. Now, to all intents and purposes, this is a PHEV, but it is so much more than that. BYD are calling this a DMI, so a dual mode intelligent, actually super DMI, which is obviously so much better than just a DMI. And what that means, it consists of a 1.5 litre turbo engine, an 18.3 kilowatt hour battery, and twin motors in this case, because this is the premium. Together, it gives you 238 kilowatts of power and 550 newton meters of torque. But it's also AC and DC pluggable, so therefore you can have around about 90 kilometers of EV only range. Plus you've got your round about 900 and something kilometers of petrol range, so you're talking about 1,000 kilometers of range. And it's also got vehicle to load, so you can actually power your barbecue or your washing machine, whatever you might travel with, oddly enough. 0 to 100 is around about 5.9 seconds, so it's not sluggish off the mark. And also when it comes to emissions, it's around about 32 grams. And when it comes to efficiency, if you are using or down to using the hybrid side of it, it's around about 5.9 litres per 100 kilometers. So like I said, there's a lot going on here, but it is very intelligent, it is very smart, and just quite a handful, actually quite a mouthful really.
Intelligent indeed, and I think it's a very good fit to the interior of the BYD Sealion. This is BYD's most conventional design on the outside and also on the inside to date. You will see a few things that are familiar to other BYD models, such as these seats here, that while they look like the ones coming from the Atto 3, I can confirm that they are much more plush and comfortable than the ones that are in there. And a few touches around the whole interior, such as the stitching in here, that is very familiar to a few other models. What is actually not so familiar and a little bit elevated in comparison to the other cars are the surfaces. Pretty much everything that you interact with has a very plush and well-built sort of a tactile feeling to it. And pretty much every single surface, be it on the sides of the doors, the things that you use to pull the doors, you actually have two options, either this pull or this pull in here, and all the switches and knobs that you can twist around the interior. There is plenty of space. It was very easy for me to find a good driving position. You get this beautiful sunroof in here that brings a lot of light into the interior as well. And the overall impression is that it is a cabin that is very comfortable, that has everything that you could ask for, and all the places that you use to interact with the car will get that sort of a luxury experience that you are expecting from a car from this segment. In terms of the actual storage, there is heaps of it. You have two cubbies in here that will bring you wireless charging for your phones and the key. A little bit behind them, you have two cup holders. And if you open in here, there is a quite big, quite deep armrest storage that has an interesting sort of a party trick in here, which is that BYD has put a tool that you can use to break any sort of a glass window in the car, or cut the seat belt in the case of an emergency should you need that. On top of the armrest, you get that NFC solution that you have seen in other cars of the brand. And then if you go look for storage on the other sides, you'll get a little bit of a cubby in here with charging solutions with USB A and C, and big door pockets on the sides for a bottle of water or Dave's notepad like we have in here. And there we have it. What is probably the most famous feature of the BYD cars is the screen that you have here in front of the dashboard that you can basically use in this landscape format that we have right now, or in the portrait using this button in here, or the one that you also have available at your fingertips on the steering wheel. A few of the things that you will have here will always be at a glance at the home screen, where you have access to the navigation, or even a native Spotify app right now, or other means of playing your media. And if you keep scrolling, you will then go into the application drawer. In here, you will be able to access things such as the voice assistant through BYD Assistant, means to connect your phone projection through Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, a few things that have to do with your ability to park the vehicle, and yes, it does park itself. You have plenty of different views that you can use with the front, rear, or even 3D cameras. But then if you come back here, you can see there are even a few things that you can do with the media center, because there is a micro USB card reader, and also, of course, the USB ports that you can use. And then if you keep going in here, then there will be things, of course, related to the charging, because this is, after all, a PHEV vehicle. A thing that was famous from another model of the brand that has made its way in here once again is the karaoke system, for those of you that want to go a little bit more into the fun side of the charging stops. But then, of course, one of the big things in here is the fact that you can also at any time change this into a portrait mode. The interesting thing is that it doesn't feel like it eats too much of your visibility for the times in which it is better to use the portrait mode, such as when you are, for example, navigating to a specific place. This can be very, very helpful. And then it's very easy to just flick it back into the normal mode if you want to really have an unobstructed view that is a little bit more what we are used to see in other cars. Always at a glance and very easy to access is this car menu here on the lower right corner. And one of the first things that it brings to you is your ability to control the battery, or the state of charge of the battery. Of course, this being a plug-in hybrid, you have a lot of freedom as to how you want to use the power that is available to you, such as changing braking settings, or even the ability to set a specific percentage of the state of charge that you want to keep. You can let the car do its own thing, or if you want to have a certain amount of juice by the time you get, say, to the center of the city, and you want to drive in silence and with zero emissions, you can then use the save selection in here. Of course, there will be other things as well in terms of the charging things, because one thing that we covered is that the car takes DC and AC charging. So, of course, having all of that customization in here is always going to be very, very handy. You can then see a few things in regards to the consumption overall. There are big numbers to be seen here, such as your efficiency with the EV powertrain, but also the range that you can get when combining both electric and ICE power. Consumption curve is also available, so you can see how your driving is going to impact your range moving forward. And a few of these pieces of information are also available on the screen in front of you. But just before we go there, there's also one neat trick to see here from this screen, which is that pretty much the same way that we see in phones and tablets, there is a pull down menu that you can use. And in here, you have access to many things that will be available for you to use very, very quickly. The state of charge being one of them that we have set for 61% in here, but also the ability to go ahead and mute specific notifications or to turn on and off certain features of the car. You will see here brightness and volume and even the heads-up display. So very cool, and many things here that will interact with the screen in front of the driver. And for this one in here, basically what you are interacting with are the commands that you have on the spokes on the steering wheel. The left one focused, as I showed, with your ability to shift the screen, but also to use everything in regards to the adaptive cruise control features that the car has. As for the ones on the right, it is all about the media and the information that you see on that screen. So you will be able to use rotary knobs and clicky buttons to switch between different songs, volume, calls, and even using the voice assistant. If you then go into the button here with the menu showing, you can then flick into the information that the car will always make available to you at a glance. And that will include your range, your fuel consumption, and even other things such as the layout for the screen.
All right, so the first thing I want to talk about with this Sealion 6 is this PHEV or a DMI powertrain, and it really is quite an advanced system, but when you throw it into a vehicle that's a SUV, it's actually quite quick too. So it's not throwing me back in the seat, but it's a really clever system because most of the time it acts like a generator, or the engine acts as a generator providing power to the battery, which then provides the power to each individual axle. So you've got essentially an EV style feel. But when you stamp on the accelerator, it sort of uncouples from there and powers the wheels directly. So it's a very clever system, which is not unique as far as Honda do it, and so do Nissan. But the added bonus is the fact that you've got this PHEV that's a DC charge, so therefore you can plug it in and get the 18 kilowatt hour battery charge very quickly, and also you can charge or power your espresso machine or laundry or whatever it is that you want from there. So it's an all-round very clever advanced powertrain.
Absolutely, it's a go anywhere, do anything kind of powertrain, right? You get the best of all worlds.
Absolutely, and it's so efficient as well. So most of the time you will be driving this vehicle in sort of an EV mode, so you'll be using very little of your petrol. I mean, there's talk of the fact that you actually have to drain the tank at some point because you're only using it like an EV. 100 kilometers or near as damn it is a great amount. So if you're plugging in at home, you'll commute 3 days or whatever it is of just EV only, and just when you go on the long trips, will you find that you're going to need the petrol.
That's right. Yeah, 100 kilometers of range is most of your daily commute, if not for more than 1 day, taken care of. And then range anxiety is not a thing because then you have all the tank to use for the longer trips. And
sure, you have to pay RUCs or road user charges, but I don't know, it's still going to be a darn sight cheaper than fuel or petrol by itself, that's for sure. The drive itself is very quiet. The cabin's very quiet. Even when the petrol engine is kicking in, you can barely hear it. It's a very unusual, quiet or EV style drive, and that's really what BYD have really nailed. And the cabin itself is so comfortable, as Harry pointed out, and visibility all around is very good. So from a driver's point of view, it's nice.
Absolutely, it is an isolation chamber in here. When we went through a little bit of a rougher patch of tarmac, it was really good, really well dampened, so it doesn't send a lot of vibrations back into the cabin. The seats are really comfortable as well, both on the front and on the back of the car. So it's really good to drive, especially when you take into consideration all the refinement that the EV powertrain is bringing.
And because a lot of the weight is down low, it's very good in the corners. It's actually hard to find fault. It's a really comfortable drive that has so much ability being the four-wheel drive. So you've got different drive modes. You've got mud and ruts. You've got sand mode. You've got sport. You've got eco. You've got normal. You've got everything at the flick of a switch, and it's also got a sort of regenerative braking feel. So you're topping up your power or using the engine to top up the power as well if you can't be bothered to plug it in.
And even when you don't have a downhill such as this to recharge the battery, you can use the actual engine as the generator, as we were doing just before starting this test. So if you're going to a specific place and you want to have an EV driving for the end of your journey, you can absolutely do that. So again, a car that can actually do it all, and with the whole family inside, because we were trying out the back seat just now.
Yep.
And there is a lot of comfort, a lot of convenience. The armrests are good. There are charging ports, rear vents for everyone, and the seats even recline quite a substantial amount. So even for the longer trips, you are comfortable. And if you want to just be refreshed with the AC and kick back and enjoy, you can.
And also on those long trips, your stereo system's very good. It's very powerful. So I've been playing some ABBA, and that's actually gone really well. Probably shouldn't say that on camera, but there you go. And you feel comfortable. You feel in control. It's playful, and as I mentioned before, the power system's intelligent. It seems to know what you're doing without you having to really overthink what it's doing. It switches very easily and comfortable between its new power source and its ICE engine. So it's for a brand that I feel is very much based around EV. It's made that switch very nicely into a PHEV world.
Yeah, there is no question. And also, there is something to be said about the luxury of not having to worry about any of this, right? The fact you don't need to know if it's on ICE mode or EV mode. You just let the car do its thing, and when it does it this right, then I think that it is absolutely they knocked it out of the park.
The other thing is ADAS. There's loads of it. It's brimming with it. The only thing I don't think it has is a driver monitoring system, but it's also not intrusive, which is actually a really big plus for BYD. In the vehicles before we've driven, the lane keep assist has been quite temperamental, I guess, and it's beeped a lot, and you've had to dumb down a lot of the systems. But this seems to be just quite helpful rather than anything else, which is a real plus. Harry mentioned before the NFC here, and another big trick of this Sealion is the fact that you can go keyless. So you can actually use an app, I think it's to do with the Apple and also certain Androids, where you can actually use your phone, you can connect it here, and also you open the door by touching on top of the door mirror, and you can then send your key to whoever you want globally, and also if you've got a team, so you can use this as a company vehicle as well, because everybody can have a key access to it. Another smart system, really.
Yeah, it's very interesting because it ties to the profile for the specific person that is unlocking the vehicle, and we are used to sort of being stuck to only having two people being able to drive the vehicle. This is a thing of the past with something like this. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you've got a card as well, so you can, if you're going to go surfing, you can stick that card in as a key card, which is really good. It really is quite an all-round cracking vehicle. So there you have it, the new BYD, or new to us, BYD Sealion 6. So a new venture as far as powertrains go for the brand in New Zealand, and what a refined, dare I say it, plug-in hybrid, because it is so much different and so much better than a normal hybrid system. It is a more conventional looking vehicle as far as its SUV-ness, but also and also not so dramatic as far as the interior goes. It's I find it quite normal actually, and a particularly good drive.
Yeah, I would say that it is very cohesive on the inside and out. It's a very good use of materials for pretty much everything that we interact with. It was a very good implementation of the ICE engine with the electric powertrain, and BYD are certainly using all the knowledge they have from the EV side of things to make a very compelling SUV package.
Awesome. Probably best time you had a go and drive. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.